Imagine a lush forest born from garbage. It seems impossible, right? But there is an experiment in Costa Rica that transformed a barren desert into a green paradise using something unsuspected: orange peels. But here's the most surprising part. Despite the extraordinary success, someone stopped it all. And at the end of this video, you'll find out why. And I guarantee it's not for the reason you think. Before diving into the story, I want to announce something special. During this video, I will tell you a magic word. If you comment with that word, you will participate in our contest to win exclusive prizes every week. Stay with us and look for the hidden word. The trucks arrived without warning. Their engines roared as they drove deep into the Guanacaste Conservation Area in Costa Rica and unloaded 12,000 tons of orange peels. What would you do if you were told that throwing garbage into a nature reserve could save the environment? Does it sound absurd? Or is it just further proof that governments and big corporations don't really care about nature, but only about their profits? Do you agree? Or do you think sometimes risks must be taken? Write it in the comments. Should nature come first, or does money always decide? If it had been you deciding, would you have allowed tons of orange peels to be dumped in a protected area, risking to ruin it in an attempt to save it? Genius or madness? Write it in the comments. These weren't ordinary vehicles. They were on a bizarre mission. Years later, they returned to see the results. When the truck stopped, its rear opened. A cascade of orange peels spilled out, covering the ground with a thick, sticky carpet. The air was filled with the overwhelming scent of citrus, but it wasn't just one truck. Other trucks followed, then more and more. Soon, the quiet forest was buried under a mountain of discarded fruit peels. Local animals watched in confusion, and birds circled above, curious about this new arrival in their home. Amidst the chaos, two ecologists, Jansen and Hawks, watched anxiously. For them, this wasn't destruction. It was the beginning of a bold experiment, one that could revitalize a degraded ecosystem or mean disaster for the protected land. Do you think it's acceptable to risk temporarily damaging the environment to save it in the long term? What would you have done? Jansen and Hawks had spent years working in Costa Rica. They had fallen in love with the country's extraordinary wildlife. Costa Rica may seem small, but it is home to 6% of all the plants and animals in the world, an extraordinary biodiversity that the two wanted to protect. This wasn't just a professional collaboration. Daniel Jansen and Winnie Hawks were a married couple. They graduated from Princeton in 1966 and later became ecologists at the University of Pennsylvania. But their hearts remained in Costa Rica. They worked together as researchers and consultants in the Área de Conservación Guanacaste, ACG, for many years. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, support the channel with a like and subscribe right now. It takes a second, it's free, and it helps us bring to light innovative solutions to save the planet.
Hi there. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to our channel. It's completely free and takes just a second, but it means the world to us. Your support is the reason we can keep bringing you incredible stories every day.
The couple noticed a big problem while working in Costa Rica. Many areas that once were lush forests had been turned into pastures for cattle. These pastures were dry and almost lifeless. The couple of ecologists wondered if there was a way to bring these areas back to life. Their challenge became their life's work as they focused on finding ways to save endangered tropical forest ecosystems. They knew these forests hosted countless plants and animals not found anywhere else on Earth. If the forests disappeared, these unique species would also vanish. In 1995, Del Oro built an orange juice factory near the conservation area. Most people thought this would harm the forest. Factories often bring pollution and cut down trees to make space. But Jansen and Hawks saw the situation differently. They discovered that Del Oro faced a big problem. In the production of orange juice, only the inner part of the fruit is used, while the peels and pulp are discarded. For a factory as large as Del Oro's, this meant tons of waste every day. Disposing of such waste posed a logistical and financial challenge. Sending it to landfills was expensive. Burning it polluted the air. Leaving it to rot attracted pests and generated bad odors. Jansen and Hawks devised a bold plan. Allow Del Oro to dump its orange peels in the conservation area in exchange for a portion of the company's land for the conservation project. It sounded like a crazy idea, but the two ecologists were convinced it could work. After years of studying the forests, they knew most plants required nutrient-rich soil to grow. However, some areas of the reserve had extremely poor soil. Years of cattle grazing had deprived the ground of the nutrients needed for plant growth. The ecologists noticed that orange peels, once decomposed, turned into humus, similar to what happens with dead leaves in a forest. Here's why. Nitrogen enriches the soil, potassium strengthens plants, and phosphorus helps roots grow. In practice, peels act as a supernatural fertilizer. The nutrients found in orange peels, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, are essential for plant growth. Nitrogen is crucial for leaf production and keeping plants green, similar to food for the human body. Potassium helps build sturdy stems, just as calcium strengthens human bones. Plants need potassium to stand upright and not fall over. Phosphorus is indispensable for developing strong roots that reach deep into the soil in search of water. Deep roots increase the chances of plant survival during drought periods. When orange peels decompose, they release these nutrients into the soil. Rain helps distribute them deeper into the ground, where plant roots can absorb them like a nutrient-rich smoothie. But think about it. While Jansen and Hawks were trying to restore nature, others were saying these orange peels were hazardous waste. Have we reached the point where people prefer sterile pastures rather than see a creative solution? What do you think? Does change scare people, or do they not really want to save the planet? Moreover, orange peels serve another important function. They completely cover the ground, preventing sunlight from reaching the underlying invasive grass. This grass absorbs water and nutrients, hindering the growth of other plants. By eliminating the invasive grass and enriching the soil, the ground becomes more fertile, fostering the growth of more diverse and robust vegetation. When the grass died under the orange peels, it made way for new plants to grow. The ecologists knew it was a big risk. They could damage the forest they were trying to protect if they got it wrong. However, they were aware that if nothing changed, the poor land would remain sterile and few plants would manage to grow. They decided it was worth trying something new. Of course, they couldn't allow the company to dump any kind of waste. They established some important rules. Only agricultural waste, like orange peels and pulp, could be deposited. No pesticides were allowed on the crops. And the peels had to be treated to remove the limonene oil. This treatment was essential, as limonene naturally inhibits the growth of plants near orange peels, acting as a natural herbicide. By removing it, the peels could promote plant growth instead of hindering it. Additionally, waste could only be dumped in areas that had previously been used as pastures for cattle. Del Oro accepted these conditions and was happy to be able to dispose of its waste for free while contributing to environmental protection. The company agreed to transport the orange peels to the conservation area. The plan was ambitious. Del Oro would send 1,000 trucks per year, transporting 12,000 tons of orange peels. This process would continue for years, accumulating a total of about 250,000 tons of waste. To give an idea of the volume, it's like filling an entire soccer stadium with orange peels. The experiment began in 1998. The trucks began unloading loads of orange peels in the designated area. At first, the site didn't look pretty. The peels were scattered everywhere, and the air was filled with a strong citrus smell. Some people held their noses as they passed, while others compared the site to a landfill rather than a nature reserve. However, the ecologists were not worried. They knew nature would need time to do its job. To monitor the project, they placed yellow signs to delineate the area and took photographs to document the initial state of the site. Initially, everything seemed to be going well. The peels began to decompose, the strong citrus smell diminished, and small plants began to sprout in some areas. It seemed like the experiment was working, but just when it seemed that everything was going smoothly, an unexpected obstacle appeared. Who wanted to stop this groundbreaking project, and why? Keep watching. The answer will surprise you. Another juice-producing company, Tico Fruit, opposed the project. This company had to incur high costs to dispose of its waste and thought it was unfair for Del Oro to do it for free. Tico Fruit launched an aggressive campaign against the project in 1998, purchasing advertising space in newspapers and on television. But let's pause for a moment. Was it really a matter of protecting the environment or a battle between companies unwilling to give up their profits? Did Tico Fruit really act for the benefit of nature, or did it sabotage an idea that could change the world? Write in the comments what you think. Environmental protection or protection of economic interests. The ads showed images of mountains of decaying orange peels, describing them as a danger to the environment. They accused the project of encouraging the proliferation of insects in the peels, which would spread to nearby farms. They also claimed that bad odors were causing health problems for people in the surrounding areas. The campaign had an effect. Many citizens began writing protest letters to newspapers. Local farmers feared that decaying peels would attract fruit flies, potentially harmful to their crops. Even environmental groups not involved in the project started asking questions. Although there was no evidence that the peels caused harm, public fear continued to grow. Ultimately, Tico Fruit took the matter to court, presenting three main arguments. 1. Dumping waste, even if natural, in a national park was illegal. 2. The agreement between Del Oro and the conservation area was not fair to other companies. 3. The project could encourage other businesses to dump their waste in protected areas. The legal battle lasted for months, but in the end, in 2000, the Supreme Court of Costa Rica ruled in favor of Tico Fruit. The court determined that although orange peels were a natural product, allowing industrial waste disposal in a protected area constituted a dangerous precedent. Don't want to miss more extraordinary stories like this? Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. You will receive an immediate notification when we publish the next video. Stories that change the way we look at the world, like this one. The court was concerned that if they allowed this project to continue, other companies might attempt to dump harmful materials in protected areas. Del Oro had to immediately stop transporting the orange peels to the site. By that time, about 12,000 tons of orange peels had been dumped, much less than the planned 250,000 tons. The ruling deeply disappointed Jansen and Hawks. They believed the court had made a mistake, but there was nothing they could do. The yellow signs marking the experiment area remained standing, but no one paid attention to the site anymore. Years went by, and the orange peel experiment was largely forgotten. The conservation area continued its projects, while Del Oro found other ways to dispose of its waste. In 2013, 16 years after the experiment began, something unexpected happened. A graduate student, Timothy Truer, traveled to Costa Rica to study tropical forests. He heard about the long-ago orange peel experiment and decided to visit the site. The yellow signs were still in place, but what Truer saw exceeded all expectations. This is the most incredible part. What everyone had considered a disaster had transformed into a miracle. A lush forest full of life had sprung from a pile of forgotten orange peels. The area where the orange peels had been dumped was completely transformed. Instead of finding traces of old peels or bare ground, he discovered a lush and thriving forest. The difference between the experimental site and the surrounding area was astounding. The section where no peels had been discarded was still mostly grassy, with few trees, while the treated area was covered by a dense canopy of tall trees, lush vegetation, and a wide variety of plants. The most remarkable discovery was that this transformation had not incurred significant costs. Del Oro had provided free fertilizer in the form of processing waste, and nature had done the rest. What initially seemed an eyesore, a mountain of decaying orange peels, had become a testament to nature's resilience. This story teaches us that sometimes a simple idea is all it takes to change the world. Share this video with 3 people who believe in the power of nature and the power of bold ideas. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep discovering incredible stories like this. The news of Truer's findings quickly spread in the scientific community. Researchers began to wonder if this approach could work elsewhere. Could other types of agricultural waste contribute to restoring damaged ecosystems? The experiment showed that sometimes the simplest solutions, even those that seem crazy at first, might be exactly what we need. For Jansen and Hawks, now in their 70s, the results were a validation of their unconventional idea from decades before. Their crazy experiment had worked better than anyone could have imagined. They had found a way to turn waste into a forest, demonstrating that, with a bit of creativity and a daring spirit, nature can heal itself. With creativity and patience, it is possible to help nature regenerate. The success of the orange peel experiment inspired similar initiatives around the world. In Brazil, researchers began experimenting with the use of coffee pulp to restore areas of rainforest. In India, scientists tested whether mango and banana peels could help to regenerate degraded land. The most important lesson was that what we often consider waste can contain the nutrients that impoverished soils need. Did this story surprise you? Then leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments what you think of this extraordinary transformation. By activating the notification bell, you will never miss new incredible stories like this. It only takes a second, but your support allows us to continue creating quality content to inspire change. However, the experiment also highlighted an important lesson about patience. In ecological restoration, changes do not happen overnight. It took 16 years before anyone noticed the dramatic effects. This emphasized a common problem in conservation. People often expect immediate results, but nature follows its own pace. The orange peel experiment demonstrated that sometimes the best approach is to provide nature with the tools it needs, step back, and wait. The story revealed how commercial interests can both help and hinder conservation efforts. While the partnership with Del Oro could have created a win-win situation, solving the waste problem and restoring the forest, the opposition from Tico Fruit disrupted the experiment. Nevertheless, the 12,000 tons of discarded orange peels proved sufficient to demonstrate the method's potential. Today, the site serves as a living laboratory, showing how industrial waste can be reused for the benefit of the environment. What was once considered a controversial dumping ground for orange peels has become a symbol of hope, demonstrating that even damaged ecosystems can recover if equipped with the right resources and sufficient time. The legacy of Jansen and Hawks extends far beyond this single experiment. Their work showed that sometimes the best solutions are not the most obvious. When most people saw a waste problem, they saw an opportunity. Where others saw a pile of rotten fruit, they saw potential for new life. The experiment also challenged the way we think about ecological restoration projects. Traditional forest restoration often involves the active planting of trees and ongoing maintenance of the area, a costly and demanding process. The orange peel method offered a more cost-effective and passive approach, providing the basic ingredients and letting nature do the rest. For Del Oro, the premature conclusion of the project meant returning to conventional waste disposal methods, which turned out to be significantly more expensive. This experience highlighted how environmental regulations, while essential, sometimes need to be flexible enough to allow for innovative solutions. Perhaps the most important lesson from the experiment is that ecological restoration does not necessarily have to be a financial burden. With a creative approach to waste products, it is possible to find solutions that benefit both businesses and the environment. The orange peels, which would have incurred high disposal costs, instead created a lush forest without any additional costs. Today, at a time when climate change and deforestation threaten ecosystems worldwide, the lessons from this experiment are more relevant than ever. It serves as a reminder that sometimes the best solutions are right in front of us, masked as problems waiting to be solved. Years after Trueur's discovery, other scientists visited the site to understand how a mountain of orange peels had created such a dramatic change. The research team conducted thorough analyses, collecting soil samples, counting plant species, and measuring tree growth. When they compared the experimental site to the adjacent untreated areas, the results were extraordinary. The forest born from the orange peels was richer in every respect. The tree canopy was about 3 times higher than the surrounding areas. The soil contained a significantly greater amount of nutrients. They found over 20 different species of trees at the orange peel site, while the control areas hosted only a few. The understory was densely populated with vegetation, providing refuge for countless insects, birds, and small animals. When local farmers saw these results, many changed their minds about the project. What was once considered a dangerous waste dump had created something beautiful. Even some former critics admitted that Jansen and Hawks had been right all along. Although the project had been halted too soon, it demonstrated that agricultural waste can contribute to the regeneration of degraded lands. The site became a popular destination for ecology students and researchers from around the world who came to study how such a simple solution, dumping fruit waste, could have such a profound impact on the ecosystem. The orange peel forest stood as a living example of nature's ability to recover when provided with the right tools and sufficient time. For Jansen and Hawks, Seeing their controversial experiment transform into such a success was deeply satisfying. They had faced harsh criticism and legal battles, but time proved they were right. The forest born from the orange peels became one of their proudest achievements in a life dedicated to conservation. The transformation went beyond the trees and plants. Wildlife began to return to the area in increasing numbers. Birds nested in the new tree canopy, insects thrived in the fertile soil, and larger animals used the restored forest as an ecological corridor between other natural areas. What was once an empty pasture for cattle was now a vibrant ecosystem. The success of the project stimulated new discussions about waste management in Costa Rica. Some began to wonder if the Supreme Court's decision had been too hasty. If orange peels had produced such a positive change, what other types of agricultural waste could be used to restore degraded ecosystems? Every comment on this video is a symbol of hope. By sharing your opinion, you are not only contributing to the discussion, you are helping to spread this story and support reforestation projects in critical areas. Let's grow this forest together, one comment at a time. The experiment showed that what we consider trash can actually be a hidden resource. The former dumping ground for Del Oro's orange peels transformed into a symbol of possibility. It demonstrated that, with the right creative approach, solutions to environmental problems do not necessarily have to be complex or costly. Sometimes, nature just needs the right ingredients to heal itself. The story of the orange peel forest continues to inspire conservation projects around the world. It is a reminder that in the face of environmental challenges, innovative solutions can emerge from unexpected places, even from a pile of discarded fruit peels. And what if I told you this is just one of many incredible stories that are changing our planet? In the next video, we will explore another extraordinary transformation that will leave you speechless. Stay with us. The best is yet to come.